In Natchez, Mississippi, it's not a whole lot to choose from as far as occupation goes. You kind of just get the job that you can, and I fell into steel work, metal work, where my dad had been since basically 1975, and I got locked in that lifestyle for a while, and it got to the point where I wasn't going to be able to go further or leave town. You had to be back at work at 6 the next morning. So I did this cycle for so long, and then one day I just wanted to go full-time music, so I rolled my bucket of tools. We would make these tool buckets, you know, to transport our tools around, and I just rolled it into the middle of the shop about 10:30 one morning and told the guy I was working with I was gone, and he kind of laughed and said, "You'll be back." Right after that's when I met Bern, and we started Bishop Gunn.
Guitarist and I were in town trying to put together a rock band. We kept hearing all these people say, "You got to find this Travis dude. He's a killer singer. You know, you got to get him in the band or whatever." So Hudson and I, the guitar player, actually kept going around town trying to find him.
Bern came up to me about a gig. He had a guitar player and him, no band name, no singer, but he was booked at the big annual festival for Natchez.
He was kind of like, "What are these kids doing?" Because we were a lot younger than him.
So I'm playing in another band at the time and doing an acoustic solo project. You know, I'll see if my other band practices on Thursdays. We'll move y'all in on Tuesday, and we'll see if we can get something down.
And it was really supposed to be like a one-off situation.
We did that for a few months, had some rehearsals, and then played the show.
Bishop Gunn just kind of stuck, and we kept playing.
It gets under his skin.
We started coming up to Nashville to work with different music people and do all these different things, and a couple of the members, they weren't really looking for that tour away from home all the time lifestyle, and that's kind of what we were gearing up and getting ready to do. So we just killed our rock band and then moved up here to Leapers Fort, to a house in the middle of nowhere. We don't have internet, barely have cell reception, no TVs in the house. If you want to entertain yourself, pick up an instrument, write a song.
So we didn't really know what we were going to do. We just knew we needed songs to do it. We built a little studio in the house we stay at, this little farmhouse out here.
It's funny because Travis and I were living up here by ourselves. I was playing a damn cajon. He was singing an acoustic guitar, and we were going around to Kimbrough's, just beat bopping around, you know, what the hell are we gonna do?
We saw this guitar player playing outside of this grand opening of an antique shop or something, just like this instrumental band.
And it was just this killer guitar player, way out of his element. The band was really good, but you could just tell, this dude was a star.
Well, I was in about 10 different projects at the time, just doing the Nashville gigging thing, trying to make a living, and they came in to Carter Vintage Guitars.
I went to go pick up a guitar that a guy was making me.
We saw him in there.
I told Bern, "Hey, is that kid at the antique store, you know?" And he said, "Yeah, I think it is."
And it was kind of like, you see a hot girl or something at a party. At first you walk away because you don't really have the balls to go say something to her. So we walked out of the store and we put the guitar in the car, and I remember Travis being like, "Let's go back in there, let's go talk to him."
So I just kind of went up and picking up a date, you know?
It was kind of like him asking me out on a first date.
Would you be interested in coming out to the house and working on some demos?
So I came over to his place, and man, we picked up guitars, and here we are a year later.
Like the wind, she wonders if she'll ever see him again.
I've known Travis for probably close to 10 years, I guess. We both were in different bands in Natchez.
We would trade over, you know, if my band was short a bass player or something, you know, he'd come play with us, and I'd always sit in with his band.
When Bern opened his studio in Natchez, Travis told me about it and invited me to come up there and see the place, maybe record something. So I started working with Bern a little bit in the studio, and he and Travis produced the album I recorded with them.
And I played a lot of instruments and sang on a couple songs, and this was before we moved up here, so when it came down to needing a bass player, I called Ben.
It seemed kind of natural to get him on board because he had just quit his job in the medical field and moved to Natchez. And we were like, "Hey man, I know you just quit your job and moved home from Arkansas. You want to move up to Tennessee now?"
When he decided to put this particular band together, you know, it all kind of fell right into place.
You know, we got him to move up with us and just join the club, I guess.
But it's gonna take a little time for me to set that parking brake and let myself unwind.
We got Ben and Drew locked down. You know, we started having some rehearsals at our rehearsal spot here in town.
Drew was recording demos of stuff that was being written.
Travis is kind of the one that has the initial idea or lyric or hook.
You know, he's kind of got a melody or a chord progression in mind, and we just kind of build off of that.
And sitting on the porch out at the farmhouse, basically just writing this song, and it felt like to me that Nashville was like this huge house, the whole shine that light on me kind of thing. It says shine that light on me and I'll sit and tell you my stories. And so you're basically asking for attention. It just kind of felt like, you know, a knock at the door.
So we did our first EP at the Purple House with Casey. So it was a real natural fit whenever we decided to make a full-length record.
So we started the studio album in Leaper's Fork at the Purple House with Casey Wasner, a great musician in his own right.
The studio is it's called the Purple House, and it's his house. And it's a very chill environment.
Casey Wasner, working with him is a pretty natural thing. I mean, he's really good at taking, you know, basically, you know, a song that's been written and we've been performing and put together and really just fine-tuning.
Casey always knocks stuff out of the park. I mean, he's a talented dude, very thorough.
We started there. We did about, I guess, 5 or 6 tracks there. And then we got the opportunity to go to Muscle Shoals Sound to be the first band after the ribbon cutting to record there, and we couldn't say no.
We actually get a phone call to come down and be the first band to record in the newly reopened Muscle Shoals Sound.
When I found out we were going to be recording in Muscle Shoals, I was pretty excited about that. As you can imagine, I mean, all the history there, the great music that came out of there, it's unbelievable.
Mark Neal was the producer that came to the Shoals with us. He had won a previous Grammy with the Black Keys in this same building we worked with him in.
We get down to Shoals Sound with Mark, and totally something we've never done before, but we didn't even have headphones on. We're all in the same room together.
This session was going to be live takes. I mean, all one take, all at the same time, old school way. You know, we wanted to capture that vibe while we were there.
It was just such a surreal experience. And really, we were worried, like, you know, we're not going to be good enough to do this. It ended up being life-changing and amazing.
This writing session with no inspiration of, you know, any topic or anything. It was just like one of those, you sit down with a co-writer or something, what you got kind of thing, and you just find something to go off of. And a friend of mine, Nicolette, that I write with, she had a line. It was like, higher than a junkie drying out in the slammer, Lord, I hope I don't die in Alabama. I'm like, okay, well, you know, what's the fear aspect? Where's that coming from? And it was more into the fictional side, kind of just creativity, you know, like not really coming from the heart or anything, so that's why it was such a different write. It was just like, what can we make happen?
We're wrapped on recording at this point, and we're talking about mix engineers and this and that, and we decided, like, you know what, this song has to be on the record.
We went to Fame Studios to do this one. We recorded the other songs at Muscle Shoals Sound on Jackson Highway down there.
We had a studio session scheduled for January 2nd.
So we booked the time and everything, and we headed out that morning. And on the way down there, we got a call that Rick Hall had passed that morning.
Of course, we're kind of like, you know, we probably need to turn around. What do we do?
We talked to his son and to the rest of the people in the studio, and they agreed, you know, that it would probably be what he would want is for the studio just to continue even on the day that he passed away. He would want the doors to never even close.
So we show up, and he asked us, all right, what song you want to cut? And I said, well, I'm kind of eerie about that too. I mean, the hook line is, I hope I don't die in Alabama. And a very touchy subject for that day. And he said, well, is that your best song? I said, yeah. So we cut it. And yeah, it was a very, very strange day, but very good session.
It was really amazing. Very honored to have done that. just coming up with different things, like what could we call it? We went through several names, but the record is a total representation of where we're from, the culture we grew up in, and really just the things we grew up seeing every day, you know, the people, the places.
We wanted to call the album Natchez because that's kind of where all this started for us.
I guess with Bishop Gunn, the biggest hopes for the future would be to preserve music from Mississippi in its somewhat primitive form, you know, of blues and rock and roll and even country aspects.
I grew up listening to Mississippi Delta music. There's just a certain sound, that music. Travis is fully harnessing us together. It's a full unit.
Natchez is, and there's a lot of history there. It's a really cool place to grow up. You know, like most people there didn't really understand or appreciate it for what it was until you leave and you see other parts of the world or the country and you start to understand that, you know, Natchez is a pretty unique place. People there, they've been very supportive of this from the very start. You know, I mean, just overwhelmingly supportive. And so if we can kind of lift them up with us.
This album is just a direct representation of Natchez. There's no other better name for it. 1 year we've been on the road and we've gained tons of friends out there. You know, we love staying in touch with everybody. We love talking to them, hearing their stories, you know, how our music might help them.
Of course, it's a good time, it's a lot of fun, but we do make a lot of good connections and meet a lot of people, and it's almost like we're starting little fires in areas.
And the fire grows a little bit each time.
The best part of it all, like the fuel for the whole thing and the drive of it is when it's brought back to you, when it's given back to you through people's reactions.
You really are building a relationship with these people. I mean, it's not just a show thing. You make friends.
And I'll have people hit me up all the time, you know, through Facebook Messenger and stuff like that, and just thank me for the music I played for them the night before, and you know, and the conversation and the way everything went. And some are musicians, and you know, are very inspired by it, and just give me these great words that inspire me back. It's just like ping pong, you know.
Whatever it is, whatever platform, we have our fans communicating with each other, becoming friends because of the band. I haven't seen anything like it before. I
like the interaction. That's what it's all about. I couldn't ask for more support of my family, brothers and sisters, everyone always just saying go, 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 you know. And my dad's always been, he's always been the biggest supporter, really. I mean, when he bought me my first guitar, you know, he hands it to me and says, you know, you can write your ticket with this. And I took those words to heart, and I bring that up to him sometimes. I'm like, well, you told me to do this.
For the shape that I made. I ain't seen home in about 100 days. I can almost hear Mama pray for my restless soul.